Hi there and welcome to Your Wilderness Therapy. My name's Dan and today I'm going to help you identify the root cause of your depression. I'm going to break down the 9 main reasons that you're depressed, and I want you to grab a pen and paper so that you can write down any of them that resonate with you, because once we can identify the cause of your depression, we can help and work towards resolving it. I used to think depression was reserved for weak people. That is until I had my own experience. And this was a few years ago. I went through a breakup, and it was like the breakup cracked open the shell. And beneath the surface of that shell, I had many other issues that had been bubbling away for many years that I just hadn't identified, whether I'd just been busying myself with work and life and many other distractions. But either way, they all came to the surface. Everything seemed to unravel. And I was just plunged into this pit of misery and despair. I was well and truly bitten by the black dog, as Winston Churchill used to call it. And I had some thoughts and feelings that I never thought I would have. But I battled through it for a period of months until I eventually came at the other side. I learned some extremely harsh but extremely valuable lessons, which I hope to pass on to anybody who's watching this and people who come to my therapy, because that is one of the main reasons I got into therapy in the first place, because of these experiences that I had myself, and I don't want anyone else to go through that. So please stay tuned, because I'm now going to go into the 9 reasons that you're depressed. Number 1 on the list are unexpected life events. So here I'm talking about things that have happened suddenly, totally unpredictable, totally out of the blue, and just knock you for 6. And it can instantly plunge you into depression because you're not prepared for any of these things. So emotionally, you're completely dysregulated, and things like grief or heartbreak, they're associated with the sudden loss of that emotional connection with somebody. And depression is one of the key emotions that you might feel in the stages after that. But then you've got other things, like maybe you've been involved in a really traumatic incident. Maybe it was a really bad accident where other people got seriously hurt and you had to witness it, and you carry with you some guilt that can lead to depression. But then you have other things, like maybe you lost your job overnight, and the job loss can be associated with another thing that causes people to be depressed, and that's financial worries. Maybe you got handed with a huge bill that you just simply couldn't pay, and it set you right back, and that was the beginning of this downward spiral, and you didn't feel like you could get out the other side of it. So unexpected life events can instantly put you into a state of depression. So that's number 1 on the list. Number 2 on the list is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Most depression is caused by this. Now, it might sound a bit scientific, but it's just quite basic when you break it down. Our body is just made of chemicals. Little chemical reactions in our body create all of the feelings that we have, all of the thoughts that we have. So there can be many things that we're doing that can upset that balance. So whether it be our lifestyle, maybe you've got a poor diet, maybe you don't exercise enough, maybe you've got poor sleep, maybe you just got not getting outside enough, or maybe you've got bad habits. For example, if you spend your day scrolling on your phone, you're burning out all those dopamine receptors. You're not getting genuine dopamine hits that you would do from actually doing rewarding activities. Let's say watching porn, for example, instead of having the physical connection of actual sex, it's going to plunge you into a very depressed state, because you're lying to your body effectively, and your body gets confused and it isn't fulfilled, and that can lead on to those very negative feelings. Other things like your menstrual cycle, obviously if you're a lady, pregnancy, and also the menopause. The depression associated with these tends to be linked to the fact there's a drop in estrogen and progesterone, and that can limit the amount of serotonin that you can produce, and that can obviously reduce your mood. So these are things that you probably need to go and seek some medical intervention for. Go and speak to your doctor, and your doctor can prescribe certain medications like HRT and things like that will help balance out these hormones, especially at different stages in your life and different stages in your monthly cycle. The other thing that can upset the chemical imbalance in your brain is stress. Obviously, with stress, our body produces cortisol. Cortisol can reduce cognitive function and can limit some of the production of some of the other chemicals that make us feel good. So if you're under constant stress, eventually you're not getting those chemicals that can lift you out the other side of that, and that can lead to depression. The other thing that is quite obvious is if you're taking in drugs, alcohol, or medication, these are all chemicals, aren't they, that don't belong in the body. Say, for example, alcohol, it's a natural depressant. Drugs, you have an extreme high, but that that is followed by an extreme low, and that low can really make you depressed. And then guess what? You're trapped in that cycle where you're seeking the high to get to the other side of it again, and it's a very vicious negative cycle. But with medication that you take, it might be medication that's being prescribed to you, there tend to be side effects. These are chemicals that aren't naturally supposed to be in the body, so obviously they're going to upset the natural balance in your body. And like I said to you before, this chemical imbalance tends to be the basis for most depression. Even if some of these other issues that I'm going to go through have caused your depression, they'll probably have caused that chemical imbalance. So that is a pretty important thing to try and get to grips with. Number 3 on the list is your environment. Now, your environment can have a huge impact on you. They say that you shrink to the size of your environment. That means if you're hanging around with people who just don't vibe on your frequency, maybe you're more intelligent than they are, maybe you're less intelligent than they are, maybe you're just on a different wavelength when it comes to your sense of humour, it can really eat away at you over time. So that can apply to like your work situation. Maybe you're doing a job that you just don't enjoy. Maybe you're completely unsatisfied with all the effort that you're putting in. You're not seeing any end result in that. Like, I've experienced this at work. I've done many jobs that just didn't satisfy me, and it does make you feel a bit depressed deep down, and that will catch up with you over time. So just maybe changing your job can have an incredible impact. Relationship. You know, a relationship creates an environment that you're existing in with that other person. If you're with the wrong person, do they make you feel energized or do they make you feel drained? That's going to eat away at you over time as well. The other thing is, you know, I've mentioned it a little bit there, but the people you surround yourself with, so your friends and your family, do they support you? Can you be yourself around them? Sorry, there's a little fly buzzing around me. Like, I haven't seen a fly in this room for ages, and then a minute I'm trying to make a video, a little one buzzes straight across the screen, so be gone with you. Yeah, so the people that you spend your time with, are they a positive influence, or do they drain you? Do they suck the life out of you? You know, we often talk about people like mood hoovers, and we've probably come across them before in a social situation where there's somebody there who, for whatever reason, seems to be sucking the life out of you, and you never feel good when you spend time with them. You need to remove these sort of people from your life because they do not serve you. You can learn lessons from them, but don't spend a lot of time with them. And if this is your family, then maybe you need to distance yourself from your family a little bit. But we'll get into how we can resolve some of these issues in my next video. But if you feel suppressed in any way, this can lead to depression. Other things like your home, like, is your home a mess? Because if you walk in, there's washing up piled up in the sink, or your bedroom's untidy, or there's things in your bedroom that aren't conducive to a good night's sleep, then your sleep, as I said earlier, is going to affect your chemical imbalance. But all this clutter that exists in your home also exists in your brain. And I think it was Jordan Peterson that used to say one of the first things you can do to help you with depression is just make the bed every morning. It's just a simple task, but it's tidying a certain area. And like I say, you are a product of your environment, so you want to make sure that all the environments that you're associated with are clean and functional and satisfy you. And if they don't, like I said at the start, write this down. Write down which environments you aren't able to be yourself in, and which environments really make you feel a bit unsettled, because they can over time lead to depression. Some of the things I touched on there lead on to the next one, which is number 4 on the list, which is misalignment. Are your skills, your talents and your passions all aligned? Are you suppressing some of these things, or are you utilizing them? Are you just a passenger on someone else's journey, or are you the captain of your own ship? You're only here once, and you've got to make the most of this life. If you're just doing what other people suggest you should do, then you're going to be suppressing who you really are, which is going to lead to you being depressed. So is it something like this? Are you aligned in your life course, your relationships, work, all the different areas of your life? Just go through it in your head. Do you feel like you're aligned to who you really are? Because the closer you're aligned to your authentic self, the more comfortable you'll be, and the happier you'll be, and the less likely you are to be depressed. Number 5 on the list is physical disabilities. It goes without saying that if you physically can't do the things that you want to do, it's going to get you down. you could have a long-term physical disability. You might have had it from birth and you might not be as mobile as those around you, and that can really get you down. I can totally understand that. And the same can apply if you just suddenly being hit by an injury. I used to play a lot of sport. I got carried off the football pitch when I was in my early 20s. It was probably the first time I'd experienced some form of depression. It really got me down because I couldn't go running. I couldn't do all the things that I'd been so used to doing for the first 20 odd years of my life. So I can totally understand how a physical disability can impact you negatively. And that can often mean that people end up with a more sedentary lifestyle, and a sedentary lifestyle has been closely linked to feelings of depression. Number 6 on the list, is it your mindset? Now, we can become the thoughts that we have, and we can also change the thoughts that we have, and the thoughts that we have make us feel differently. If we're always dwelling on the negative, or we always adopt the victim mentality, then we can have this tendency to think the world's against us, and that can really drag you down. Do you focus on what you don't have as opposed to what you do have? I talk about this in a lot of my videos about how if you talk to yourself about the things you are grateful for, right down to the smallest thing. I'm grateful that I have the ability to watch this video. I'm grateful that I can breathe. I'm grateful that I had the choice to get out of bed this morning. I'm grateful I've got food in the cupboards. All those little things can really boost you and offset those negative thoughts. But mindset tends to be a choice, and it might be hard just to click a switch and change. If you've always been surrounded by people who are moaning and always, preaching that they're the victim, maybe your parents are like that, maybe your siblings were like that, maybe your friends were like that. And like I said before, you become your environment. You are a product of the people you spend your time with. So that can have an impact on your mindset. Maybe you need to step out of that and take a long, hard look at yourself and say, well, in most situations, do I look at the positives or do I look at the negatives? Because those negatives can build up and then create that depressive outlook on life. Number 7 on the list is loneliness. Now, there's a reason solitary confinement is such an effective punishment for people, because humans are designed for social interactions and social connections. We produce feel-good chemicals when we interact with people, like oxytocin, for example. And also by chatting to friends and family members, for example, you are having an outlet for your thoughts, and that's really cathartic. That's really, really helpful. It can lower stress levels. Just going out for a beer with your mates, or I shouldn't say beer because I've just said that you should avoid alcohol and other chemicals like that. But just meeting up with your friends in whatever environment suits you can be really, really beneficial. So, is loneliness something that is prevalent in your life? If it is, then we need to do something to resolve that. Number 8 on the list is genetic inheritance. Now, there are many studies that seem to suggest that some people are more likely to be depressed than others, and that can be a result of their genetic link to someone else in the family who was like that. It can be passed on through the family history, so maybe it's worth looking back, maybe speaking to your parents and find out whether any of those have ever gone through this, because maybe it's just something that might be associated with. It doesn't mean that you can't resolve it. It just means it might help you identify why you feel the way you do, because if it doesn't, any of the other things on this list don't resonate with you, then maybe that is the cause. And some people are just obviously more susceptible than others as a result of that. The last thing on the list, number 9, is mental health disorders. So if you're already diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar, split personality, to name but a few, then it makes sense that you're going to have some mental struggles, and one of the struggles might be depression. These are things you need to talk to your doctor about. Medical professionals are the only ones who have a greater understanding of this. This isn't a job for a therapist, for example. This is something that needs medical intervention. Now, in this video, I've obviously identified all the main causes of depression. Hopefully, you've managed to piece together some of those and work out the root cause of your depression right now. I want you to also know, though, that at least 15% of people will struggle with depression in their lives. So you're not alone in this. This is quite a common thing for people to experience. It's quite a common emotion to go through, but this doesn't have to be how it's going to be for the rest of your life. Be careful not to confuse everyday feelings of anger, bitterness, resentment, frustration, and all these general emotions that we might get with depression. Often people might say, oh God, I'm so depressed, when they're just going through a bad day at work. They're not really depressed. It's not something to be sniffed at. If you're watching this video, it means you're genuinely struggling and you're looking for answers. And I want to say well done for watching this, because some people, when they're depressed, they struggle to motivate themselves to do anything, let alone seek answers on this. So you're already on track to resolve these issues. Genuine depression can be completely chronic, it can be completely debilitating, and it can destroy your life. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be like this. I've got another video that you should watch after this that will guide you through your depression, the things you can do to start making steps towards a more positive and more optimistic future, because you don't want to be surrounded by this dark cloud forever. It doesn't have to be that way. And in my experience, as I said before, depression tends to be a combination of lots of different issues as opposed to just one thing. So I hope you've managed to scribble some of these things down, and I hope it's allowed you to get closer to identifying the reason that you are depressed. And I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please click the like and subscribe button and leave any comments in the comment section. That'll encourage me to make more videos like this, and maybe videos more closely related to what it is you're experiencing right now. Just remember, you're not alone. I've got you and you've got this. You're going to be okay. Thanks for watching.